At 9:40 a.m. on February 28, 2026, 30 hypersonic missiles struck a single building in central Tehran, ending the 36-year leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini. This massive footprint was once the center of an endless stalemate. For decades, Israel attempted to halt Iran's nuclear progress by bombing sites like these and assassinating scientists. But the program always survived. Iranian leadership simply appointed new teams and moved operations underground. That strategy shifted in 2018 when Mossad agents stole half a ton of original nuclear documents from a secret warehouse. The files revealed a network of underground sites that satellites had never detected. It proved that as long as the supreme leader and his core team remained intact, the nuclear program would be rebuilt. Reaching Khomeini, however, was a logistical nightmare. He was protected by the 30-acre Pasteur Street compound, featuring an underground bunker so deep the elevator took 5 minutes to reach the bottom. This subterranean network stretched for 5 kilometers beneath Tehran, connecting to various schools, hospitals, and mosques to mask his movements. A direct strike in the heart of the capital carried the risk of triggering a full-scale war and massive political backlash. To eliminate the target without starting a global conflict, Israeli and U.S. agencies spent the next 8 years constructing a multi-layered digital and physical trap. The first phase involved a massive infiltration of Tehran's digital infrastructure. Most of the city's security cameras were manufactured by Chinese firms and contained a remote code execution bug. Israel's Unit 8200 exploited this, gaining access to live video feeds from traffic intersections, government offices, and the perimeter of the Pasteur Street compound. While satellites intercepted radio and phone signals from the compound, Mossad operatives began physically monitoring the site. They recruited maintenance staff, analyzed the trash leaving the compound, documenting everything from food deliveries to the frequency of visiting doctors. Iranian security attempted to go dark. They banned electronic devices in Khomeini's presence and installed a private fiber optic network to keep internal communications off the airwaves, where U.S. Orion satellites couldn't intercept the data. Iranian intelligence calculated U.S. satellite orbital paths, establishing specific time windows for Khomeini's movements during brief blind spots. However, the sheer volume of fragmented surveillance data captured by Allied intelligence became overwhelming, making it impossible for human analysts to spot an actionable opening. The solution was the deployment of Project Maven, a high-level Pentagon AI system. Following the 2023 October 7th attacks, the timeline for the operation was moved up, and Maven was tasked with synthesizing the years of surveillance. The AI processed everything: the specific car used by each driver, the shift rotations of the guards, and even the Supreme Leader's unique walking style. It used this data to generate a 98.7% accurate pattern of life, predicting exactly where Khomeini would be. This intelligence required a political partner willing to take the risk. Following the 2024 U.S. election, that alignment materialized. With a new administration in place, Israel received the operational green light to move from surveillance to execution. On February 23, 2026, the pattern finally broke in Israel's favor. Intelligence confirmed that in 5 days, Khomeini would leave his deep bunker for a high-level meeting with 40 top officials in an above-ground building within the compound. The AI had isolated the exact location and time. Now, the mission turned to the physical problem of entering Tehran's airspace, which was shielded by the most dense air defense network in the region. On the morning of the strike, U.S. Navy Growlers flooded the region with electromagnetic waves. This paralyzed the compound's communications and jammed the cell phones of the security guards, cutting off the Pasteur Street compound from the outside world. Simultaneously, Unit 8200 activated sleeper malware that had been hidden in the supply chain of Iran's S-300 missile batteries for years. The malware caused targeting computers to crash and rendered radar screens completely blank, effectively blinding the city's defenses. To ensure no radar remained active, pre-smuggled Mossad drones launched from hidden locations within Iran. These drones navigated directly to the blinded anti-air batteries, physically destroying them before they could reboot. With the defenses dismantled, the strike package moved in. Allied jets launched over 30 hypersonic Blue Sparrow missiles. These weapons were programmed to strike the exact room where the meeting was taking place, ensuring the target couldn't retreat to the bunker. This sequence of electronic blinding and cyber-sabotage allowed the missiles to reach a target that decades of traditional bombing never could. By the time the first explosion occurred, the Iranian military didn't even know their airspace had been breached. 12 minutes after the impact, Iranian citizens began receiving messages through a widely used religious app. The hijacked notification told them help has arrived and urged the military to surrender, signaling the total compromise of the state's internal communication. The physical leadership of the country was wiped out in a single morning. Khomeini's surviving son was reportedly forced to keep his father's remains in a deep-freeze unit, fearing that a public funeral would invite a secondary strike on the gathered loyalists. The strike on Pasteur Street demonstrated that physical fortifications are obsolete if the digital patterns within them are compromised. Khomeini's security was dismantled, not just by the weight of the explosives, but by the pattern recognition that guided them to his doorstep. The 2026 strike proved that even the most sophisticated military hardware is vulnerable if its digital footprint can be tracked and predicted. In this new era of warfare, defense is no longer defined by bunker depth, but by the security of the data it generates.